Good morning, leopards. My back is a bit sore, so I'm going to try and sit in a different direction. I hope it works. This story is my husband's favorite story, or children's story, and it's called The Velveteen Rabbit. Let's take a look. The Velveteen Rabbit by Marjorie Williams. Oh, look, there's a toy rabbit and a real rabbit. There was once a Velveteen Rabbit, and in the beginning he was really splendid. He was fat and bunchy, his coat was brown and white, and his ears were lined with pink satin. On Christmas morning he was a gift to a little boy, and he sat in the Christmas stocking together with some sweets. In the beginning, the boy loved the Velveteen Rabbit, but soon he got distracted by all the other gifts he received for Christmas, and so the Velveteen Rabbit ended up in the toy box with all the other toys. In the boy's room, there was also a very old horse. He looked used and already a bit broken. He was very friendly to the Velveteen Rabbit. "What does it mean to be real?" asked the Velveteen Rabbit to the horse. "Does it mean that you've got something inside of you that buzzes?" "Real isn't how you are made," said the skin horse. "It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, then you become real. By the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off and you are quite shabby." "I suppose then you must be real?" asked the rabbit. "Yes, I used to belong to the boy's uncle. He made me real many years ago. Once you are real, you can't become unreal again. It lasts for always." The rabbit sighed. He thought it would be a long time before the magic called real happened to him. One evening, when the boy was going to bed, he couldn't find the doggy that he usually slept with. "Here," said his nana, "why don't you take this old bunny you got for Christmas? He'll sleep with you." And that is how the bunny started sleeping with the boy at night. At first, the rabbit found it rather uncomfortable. Then he grew to like it, for the boy made nice tunnels for him under the bedclothes. He said it was like burrows where real rabbits lived. And when the boy dropped off to sleep, the rabbit would snuggle down under the boy's warm little chin and dream. And so time went on. The little rabbit was so happy that he never noticed how his beautiful velveteen fur was getting shabbier, and his tail became unsewn, and all the pink of his rubbed off his nose where the boy had kissed him so many times. When spring came, the rabbit had rides in the wheelbarrow, picnics on the grass. He had such a good time with the boy, and the boy played with him every day. He really loved his Velveteen Rabbit. Once, when the boy was called into the house suddenly, the rabbit was left outside on the lawn. When night-time came, the boy couldn't even sleep, and Nana had to go and find the rabbit in the garden. Then they all knew how much the boy had loved the bunny. "Fancy all that fuss just for a toy bunny," said the Nana. The boy sat up in bed. "He isn't a toy, he's real." When the little rabbit heard that, he was the happiest he has ever been, for he knew that for he knew, that what the skin horse had said was true at last. He was a toy no longer, he was real. The boy himself had said it. One summer evening, the rabbit saw two strange beings creep out of the wood. They were rabbits like himself, but quite furry and brand new. They must have been very well made, for their seams didn't even show, and they changed shape when they moved. Are those toy bunnies? No, those are real bunnies, but the Velveteen Rabbit doesn't realize that they are the real ones. He thinks that they are also toys. The real bunnies stared at him, and the little rabbit stared back. And all the time, the real bunny's noses twitched. "Why don't you get up and play with us?" the one asked. "I don't feel like it," said the Velveteen Rabbit. "Can you hop on your back legs?" asked the one furry rabbit. "I don't want to," answered the Velveteen Rabbit again. One of the rabbits came up very close and sniffed. "He hasn't got any back legs like us, and he doesn't smell right. He isn't a rabbit at all. He isn't real." "I am real," said the little rabbit. "The boy said so." And he nearly began to cry. Just then there was a sound of footsteps, and the boy ran past the furry rabbits. With a stamp of feet and a flash of white tails, the two strange rabbits disappeared. For a long time the little Velveteen Rabbit lay very still, but the boy picked him up and carried him home. One day the boy grew ill. His face grew flushed. He talked in his sleep. His little body was so hot that it burned the rabbit when he held him close. The boy was too sick to play, but the little rabbit snuggled down patiently and looked forward to the time when they would play in the garden and in the wood like they used to. But the boy really struggled to get better. The doctor said that all the boy's toys and books were full of the germs that made the boy sick. And the doctor said all those toys and books must be removed from his room. That included the Velveteen Rabbit. What is the use of being so loved by a boy? And what is the use of a boy calling you real if it ended like this? Wondered the bunny, and he was so sad. Look at his tear. A real tear trickled down his little shabby velvet nose and fell to the ground. Can toy bunnies really cry? No. Then a strange thing happened, for where the tear had fallen, a flower grew out of the ground, and out of the flower stepped a fairy. She came close to the little Velveteen Rabbit and gathered him up in her arms and kissed him on his old shabby nose. "Little rabbit, don't you know who I am?" she asked. The rabbit looked up at her, and it seemed to him that he had seen her face before, but he couldn't think of where. "I am the magic fairy," she said. "I take care of all the playthings that the children have loved. When they are old and worn and the children don't need them anymore, I come and take them away with me and turn them into real." "Wasn't I real before?" asked the Velveteen Rabbit. "You were real to the boy," the fairy said, "because he loved you so much, but now you shall be real to everyone." She held the little rabbit close in her arms and flew with him into the woods. She kissed the little rabbit again and put him down on the grass. "Run and play, little rabbit," she called. But the little rabbit sat quite still for a moment and never moved. He did not know that when the fairy kissed him that last time, she had changed him altogether. He might have sat there a long time if just then something hadn't tickled his nose and he lifted his back legs to scratch his nose. Then he realized his back legs were working after all. And his ears and his nose could twitch all by themselves. The Velveteen Rabbit gave one leap of joy, and he went springing about, jumping sideways and whirling around as the other bunnies used to. He grew so excited that when he did stop to look at the fairy, she had already gone. He was a real rabbit at last, at home with all the other rabbits. Autumn passed, even winter came and gone. When it was spring again, the boy was better and he was allowed to go back out into the woods. While he was playing, 2 rabbits crept out and peeped at him. One of them was golden brown all over, but the other one had strange markings under his fur, as though long ago he had seams. The boy thought to himself, "Why, that bunny looks just like my old Velveteen Rabbit." But he never knew that it really was his own bunny, come back to look at the child who had first helped him to be real. Isn't that a magical story? You see, guys, you must love your toys so much. I hope you enjoyed the story.